To the Phil Steele Plus tour for the final week of September. And up for you today, 7 big selections and 5 quick hitters for you, all on today's tape. Let's start with this first matchup, not one you normally see, Rice against Navy. And here it is. I'm going to call it an option versus option matchup. You guys know how I feel about that. When option teams play option teams, a couple things happen. First of all, the advantage of running the option is that nobody faces it. Your opponents don't know how to prepare for it, can't simulate it in practice, and that's why you have success. However, when option teams take on option teams, the opposite is true. Turns into a lower scoring game, and Rice is running the option this year. Navy's running the option this year, and that's why we're going to use Rice plus 14.5 over Navy. Now, a couple of notes I'll show you. Let's take a look at Army, for example. And when you look on the tour, you just come down here, and when you click on an opponent right here, it gives you the matchups. And so let me pull this over here. If you take a look at the underdog in this series, now, first of all, if the score here is green, that means the team, Army, won the game. If it's red, they lost the game. If the color here is green, that means they covered the game. And if it's red, they did not cover the game. So if you look, favorite didn't cover, dog covered, dog covered, dog covered, dog covered, dog covered. You can go down the line. If you looked it up, 9-0 with 5 upsets. Out here, you list your outright upsets. So the last 9 times Army's played Air Force, the dog is covered all 9 with 5 outright upsets. So that's Army Air Force. Let's take a look at Army Navy now. We'll click on that one. And we find with the Army-Navy game that the dog is 8-3 against the spread these last 11. If you went down here, you see favorite lost, favorite lost, favorite lost. So 8-3 against the spread. And once again, 5 upsets. The dog does extremely well in the series. And then we could even take a look at the Navy-Air Force game here. Right there, Navy and Air Force. And when we do that, 15-3 for the dog. If you go and add them all up, I did it last night when I was working on it. Look at all these outright upsets too, as well. 15-6 for the dog, I should say, with 11 outright upsets. So now naturally unders, you got tons of unders here. And once again, if we go back to Army Navy, you have tons of unders here. You see all that. And when you go to Army and Air Force, you have a ton of unders here. And once again, that's pretty easy and it's pretty self-explanatory what those are. So in a option versus option game, I'm always going to go with the dog and I'm going to go with the under. But in this case, our official selection is going to be Rice plus the points over Navy. And by the way, Rice 15-10. If we go back and look at their ATS results, how do they fare as an away dog? They are 15-10 as a conference away dog down here. If you add these up, here we take away the 3-3, you got 15-10 over the last 8 years as a conference away dog. So add it all up, we're going to take Rice plus 14.5 over Navy. All right, let's get to your second play. Before I do it, guys, I do want to mention we'll do some housekeeping. Last week, another disappointing week for the tour. 1-4 on the selections. Now, the FCS selections went 3-1, so the overall selections on the tour 86-61. But even the quick hitters last week went 1-3. And then I gave away a free issue of the press box. I know a lot of you took advantage of it. Had a few thousand people take advantage of it. And unfortunately, Pressbox didn't have a winning week last week. My selections went 2-3. And the computer actually had a losing week. It's rare for that. I'm going to tell you the records, win or lose, but it's always disappointing to me. And I'm not making anything on this tour. I don't make any money on it. I just do it for the love of the game and get this information out there. Show how to use philsteele.com. But it's always disappointing when you have a losing week. I know we'll bounce back. And in the computer's sake, a rare losing week for the computer. You know how hot that's been. The computer's best months the last 2 years have been October and November, where it's been absolutely on fire. It's had amazing weeks. October and November coming up. The computer actually is beating me right now. Generally, at the end of September, I'm beating the computer. The computer's actually beating me into October, and October and November are its best months. So keep an eye on that for if you're interested in Pressbox. But we're not selling anything on this one. We're just going ahead and getting you some free plays. So let's take a look at our second one, and it's your technical play of the week. We're going to put Utah State here on the left. Where's Utah State? They're in the Mountain West. And we are going to put Vanderbilt here on the right. Now, what makes this a technical play? They really have no series history when you look at these two teams. But here's the things we're looking at. Let's take a look at Vandy as a home favorite. Now, a lot of this stuff, this box up here, you've got this in your magazine. You could look this stuff up. You could see as a home favorite, 1-1, 1-3, 1-4, 1-6. 2-8 actually over the last since 2019, but 1-6 coming into the year. Now Vandy has covered both their first two as a home favorite. They're 4-0 against the spread, doing very well in that respect. But 3-6 overall as a home favorite. Now we take a look at Bronco Mendenhall as a 20-plus dog. He was a 20-plus dog at Texas A&M. By the way, Texas A&M, I feel, is a better team than Vanderbilt, stronger, and they lost by 20. Here they're getting 22.5. I also think College Station is a more intimidating venue than Vanderbilt. Now, granted, Vanderbilt's a really good team. I just don't think they're up there at Texas A&M standards, and Utah State hung with them. So that's 1-0 for Mendenhall. Now, the good thing about Phil Steele Plus is you can look all this stuff up. So how does Bronco Mendenhall do as a 20-plus dog? Well, last year he was at New Mexico. All right, let's go to the New Mexico page. And when we go to New Mexico, right here, you can click here on the last 40 years results. And you come down here and you see Bronco Mendenhall was here 1 year, 24. Were they a 20-plus dog? Here they were a 30-plus dog against Arizona and covered. And let's see, 26.5 point dog covered at Auburn. So 2-0 as a 20-plus dog there. Now, we can all go back to Virginia, for crying out loud. Let's go to Virginia. And once again, the good thing about the bottom of the one page, you got 3-0 so far, by the way. So now we're at Virginia. So if you go to the last 40 years results, you come down here, you go, when was Bronco Mendenhall the head coach of Virginia? It's right here. Bronco Mendenhall was here from 16 to 21. So now let's go up here and take a look at 16 to 21. And we're looking for 20-plus dogs, and not there. 20-plus dog. There's one. And he's once again, the W over here doesn't, if it's bold, that means the team won the game straight up. If the W is out here, that means they covered. So there's another cover at Clemson. That's 4-0. Let's see if we got any other 20-plus dogs. I said it's from 15 on. 15. Here's one, 28.5 loss. So that's 4-1 as a 20-plus dog. 24.5. I know that's favored. Let's look for dogs here. Dogs, 20-plus, 20-plus, 20. Here's a 24 cover, 5-1. 33 cover, 6-1. And back to 15, no 20-plus dogs. Then you could even go back to BYU. And once again, these pages give you all the information you need. We got 5-1 so far. Go back to BYU, which is now in the Big 12. You click on the last 40 years results. And once again, you could see when he was here. And I'm not going to waste your time looking for it, but he was 2-0 as a 20-plus dog with BYU. So you're looking at 7-1 as a 20-plus underdog. He also is 32-23 ATSs and away dog. Look in your magazine. We've got coaches' records overall. They're right there, and you'll see that. So overall, you got a lot of technical angles working on this one. Let me see if I brought the chart up here for this. Schedule predictor. Let's take a look at their schedule predictor for this week. And the schedule predictor, I haven't finished all the records yet. I'm still working on it. There's a lot of stuff that you got to take care of during the course of the week. I will say this. I told you it was a disappointing week last week. Even the schedule predictor had an off week. 3-7 last week for the best bets. But we list what the best bets were last week in each category. And the schedule predictor is now 85-59, and a best bet is anything in green. Green is a best bet. Yellow is a half best bet. So this week there are 7 or 8 or 9 best bets. I'm showing you 5 of them here this week. And look for a big bounce back from the schedule predictor because 85-59 on these best bets. Do I have this game up here? Here's Utah State Vanderbilt. See out here a technical play, away dog, home favorite, 20-plus dog. Once again, I can't put all the records out here. Those records are all in your Inside the Press Box write-up. So if you're an Inside the Press Box member and it says away dog, read the write-up. It tells you what the away dog record for Utah State is. Home favorite tells you what Vandy's home favorite record is. 20-plus dog, it tells you what Mendenhall is as a 20-plus dog. Now, it's not a best bet out here, because you have one on Vandy, the plus-minus ratings, and you have one here, so they cancel each other out. It's a zero play out here. This just adds them all up, but it is a best bet and a technical advantage. So your technical play is to take Utah State plus 22.5 over Vandy. All right, technical play number 2. And is it up here? Yeah, New Mexico State. New Mexico, I'm showing home favorite, series dog, visitor, all on New Mexico State. New Mexico's played the tougher schedule, so that cancels that out. Even, it was my preseason line. That says take New Mexico State, but the AGG says take New Mexico. So once again, nothing out here because you had 2 on New Mexico, 2 on New Mexico State, but we're using this as a technical play. So let's show you what we got here. We're going to put New Mexico State on the left because they're the visitor, and we are going to put New Mexico on the right. So New Mexico State is here, and New Mexico. Now, New Mexico's been playing well this year. Played above expectations. They're 2-0 or 2-1 ATS. They didn't cover against Idaho State. Did cover against UCLA. How about 35-10? Got the coach fired. And this was actually 27-17 in the fourth quarter. New Mexico State delivered a best bet winner for me on PressBox in their upset win over Tulsa. I thought they should have been favored in that game, and then got beat last week at Louisiana Tech. But let's look at the series for starters. So when we click on the series, you could see that, first of all, once again, the green means they've covered concerning New Mexico State. 7-2 is the record for New Mexico State in the series. Now, how about the underdog in this series? Well, once again, dog lost, but dog won, dog won, dog won, dog won. Dog lost, dog won, dog won, dog underdog 7-2 against the spread. And look at this, 4 upsets. Those are your upsets in the series. The visitor in this series is 12-3-1. Now take a look at the home team here. If the word is win, that means that the home team won straight up. If the word is lost, that means the home team lost straight up. But to make it easy for you when you're trying to figure out how the home team's done against the spread, if it's red, the home team did not cover. If it's green, the home team covered. So you see 1, 2, 3 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12-3-1 for the visitor in this series. You got to like that. Then we have to take a look at New Mexico as a home favorite. Once again, we come over here. How do they do as a home favorite? How about 6-19? And by the way, they've only been a home favorite once this year against Idaho State. They did not cover. So 6-20 as a home favorite in this series. So you got all that going for it. That's why on the schedule predictor, this is a technical play. You have 3 angles all on the same team. Series dog, visitor in the series, and of course the home favorite. So I'll add that all up. That's a best bet, a technical play, and we're taking New Mexico State plus 14.5 over New Mexico. All right, let's go to your next one, which is your don't overreact play. And it is here, by the way. It's USC against Illinois. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, Illinois looked horrible last week, right, guys? So when we take a look at this matchup, there's a reason USC's favored by 6.5 or 7 points here. I saw 7 this morning. USC, of course, has done great this year, 4-0. Illinois had been doing great, and then last week they just got throttled. Everybody watched the game. At least you watched the first quarter and a half. Then you knew the game was over. Indiana just throttled them last week. So if you look at my schedule predictor, and go back to that schedule predictor for a minute, had this game been played last week, Illinois would have been a 3-point favorite. But now they're a 7-point dog. That's a pretty big change on one play. This right here, the schedule predictor, is Illinois a 3.5 best bet. What do they got going in their favor? They've got the plus-minus power ratings going for them, which actually have Illinois by 1.5. The AGG cancels that out, however. It's got USC by 13.7. My preseason line was Illinois -3, and that would have been the line last week. Illinois played the tougher schedule. Action Network hit Illinois by 5 prior to the year. And over here, Illinois is an angle thing. Away favorite, off a win, and Eastern time zone. Let me explain that. How does USC, or you can look up Lincoln Riley's record. Look up Lincoln Riley's record in the magazine under coaches' records. Record as an away favorite. And we see that the away favorite record, 3-11 here, 9-22-1 as an away favorite. So Lincoln Riley not great on the road. Illinois, by the way, or USC is also off a win. How does USC do off a win? Here we go, off a straight-up win. 2-4, 4-9 the last 2 years off a straight-up win. And this year, let's see, win 5-9. 5 and didn't cover the last 2 weeks, so 5-11 off a straight up win is USC. But here's the one I want to really focus on. Let's take a look at USC over the last 40 years in the Eastern and Central time zones. This is fascinating. USC is actually 1-13 against the spread when traveling across the country playing in the Eastern or Central time zones. Last year they lost at Maryland, at Minnesota, at Michigan. Not only lost the games against the spread, what the Yales are, but lost the games straight up as well. Now, the LSU game was played in California. At Oregon, at Cal, at Notre Dame, that's 0-4. Let's keep rolling down here and look for games that are in the Eastern, or here's at Notre Dame, 0-5. Let's look here. There was none at BYU, Washington, Notre Dame. They lost the game straight up, but they did cover that game. So now you're looking at 1-5 against the spread. And we continue to roll here, but no wins. At Texas, they lost. Texas is in the Central time zone. So that's 1-6. Colorado's Mountain. At Notre Dame, 1-7. And Alabama, that was an Eastern time zone game, 1-8. What do we got here? At Oregon, California. Notre Dame, 1-9. UCLA, Utah, Arizona. Boston College, 1-10. Colorado, Notre Dame, 1-11. Just looking at the ats. That's what we're looking at here. We're looking to see if there's any Eastern or Western, or Eastern or Central, I should say. Anyway, don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but 1-13. Straight up and ATS when traveling to the Eastern or Central time zone. So once again, don't overreact. Illinois would have been a 3-point favorite last week. They didn't look great, but now you're getting a tremendous line value. What would have been -3 is now +7. Take Illinois +7 over USC. Well, let's go to the schedule predictor game of the week, and we're going to take a look at Duke against Syracuse for this one. We're going to put Duke on the left and Syracuse on the right. There's Duke on the left, and here is Syracuse on the right. And schedule predictor, let's go ahead and open that up and see what all that's got going on for it. Duke and Syracuse. Syracuse is a 4-angle play here this week. Plus minus power ratings have Syracuse by 9. My preseason line at Syracuse by 2. The FPI with their home edge is Syracuse by 5.7. Syracuse has home, away, and home dog factors on their side. What do I mean by that? If you take a look at Syracuse, their straight-up record at home, and once again, I could show you the records, but let's get back to that. Syracuse is 17-5 straight up at home. So once again, here's your straight up records up here. 17-5 straight up at home. Did beat Connecticut this year. Have they had any other home games? And Colgate, so 2-0 this year. And Duke is 18-33 straight up on the road. And so far this year, they've had one road game. They actually trailed Tulane 24-3 in that game. And it is they only lost by 7 with a late touchdown, but 18-33 straight up on the road. Now, how do they do as an away favorite? A conference away favorite the last 7 years. Let's go take a look at that. Conference away favorite the last 7 years. 1-1, 1-3, 2-3, 2-4 as a conference away favorite the last 7 years. Home dog last year, Syracuse was 3-1. And then another thing, Syracuse can throw the ball. They threw the ball last year. They're throwing the ball this year. How does Duke do in the pass defense rankings? This is interesting. Duke is Manny Diaz. You got to love his defense generally. They play extremely well. Trying to get to the menu. I think I got the menu here. So let's go to pass efficiency defense. And we see that Duke, against a good passing team, number 130 in pass efficiency defense this year. So add it all up. It is the schedule predictor game of the week. It is Syracuse +5 over Duke. Now, Syracuse did lose Steve Angeli, but they were really high on Ricky Collins coming into the year. And he was actually number 1 quarterback coming out of spring. They picked up Angeli after spring practice was over. So I think he's going to fare well in this one, and that's why we like Syracuse +5 over Duke. All right, I had to disagree with the computer game earlier where I liked Georgia. The computer liked Tennessee. As it turns out, the computer won spread-wise because Tennessee was +3.5 at home. Georgia did win the game on the road. I'm going to give one again. It's going to be Tennessee again, but this time I like Tennessee, and the computer's saying, I'm not so wild about Tennessee. But here's why I like Tennessee over Mississippi State this week. First of all, let's look at the series. And if we click on the series here, the spread in this game is Tennessee -7.5. They have 7-1 in the last 8 meetings against Mississippi State. Every single win has been by double digits. So that means they cover the 7.5 point spread. Tennessee does well as an away favorite. Let's go click on that. Away favorite, 3-3, 6-4, 8-5. And this year, were they an away favorite? 9-5. 9-5 is an away favorite this year. How about Mississippi State as a home dog? Okay, let's go take a look at that. Home dog, 1-3, 1-6-1, 1-7-1, 2-9-1, 2-11-1, 2-13-1. Ouch. Now they did cover against Arizona State this year. That was a home dog game there. So 3-13-1 as a home dog. Now the computer on this one, I'm not going to show you the actual computer forecast, but it's similar to this. The plus-minus power ranks have Mississippi State pick 'em. The current AGG is Mississippi State by 1.6. So you could tell the computer likes Mississippi State. Tennessee would have been a 19.5 point favorite with last year's numbers figured in. They played the tougher schedule by far. Tennessee here was a 16.5, and Tennessee's a series one out here. So Tennessee, these two cancel out, these two best bets. You've got two best bets working on Tennessee. That's why it's a 2 out here and in yellow. And this one is to take, my play is Tennessee -7.5 over Mississippi State. As you can tell, the computer likes Mississippi State. We'll see who wins there. But the official selection is Tennessee -7.5. All right, revenge play of the week. Let's get to that one. And it's Ole Miss is at home against LSU. Let's see how the revenge plays are doing, by the way, on the tour. The revenge plays did go 2-1 last week. They're off to a slow start, but they've been absolutely golden the last 3 years. 94-47. We do have a revenge play here. In fact, Ole Miss is a 4 play on the schedule predictor. Last year when they met, Ole Miss was a big favorite was favored on the road. Now they're at home. Take the 6 point change, it'd be a 9.5 point favorite last year. Average game grade, Ole Miss 10.7. Revenge, Ole Miss. FPI, Ole Miss says FBI says Ole Miss by 10.6, so that's a 4. And we take a look at this matchup last year when these two played. You got Mississippi, you got LSU. And once again, I'd like to thank collegepressbox.com for allowing us to post the boxes. Take a look at last year's box score, and you just click on the box, and you can see that Ole Miss on the road led the entire game, 3-0, 10-0, 10-7. They never trailed the entire game, and LSU got a late touchdown pass, a 23-yard touchdown pass with 27 seconds left to force overtime. And then this overtime touchdown here, this 25-yard touchdown, the only time they led all game. They never led a single second in the entire game because there was no time in overtime, yet they won the game 29-26. So a lot of folks felt Ole Miss a better team last year. Now they're at home. They're only laying one point here. And I like this. Trinidad Chambliss, he looks great. You know, Austin Simmons early on had 4 interceptions those first 2 games, sort of put him in a hole a couple times, especially the Kentucky game. Chambliss has 0 interceptions. Dangerous threat running the ball, 195 yards, 5.4, hitting 67%. I think if Chambliss pulls out the win here, forget Austin Simmons. Trinidad Chambliss is your quarterback. I mentioned the AGG. How about the fact that the home team dominates this series? Let's go over here to the home team record. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight covers for the home team. And won the last 5 straight up, 6 of the last 7. Not 7-1, 8-1, 9-1, 10-1, 11-1. Basically, the home team dominates this series. 11-1 against the spread. It looks like it's 10-2 straight up, 11-1 against the spread for the home team in this series. So add it all up, your revenge play of the week. And there are numerous revenge plays this week, so check them all out on your schedule predictor. The revenge play of the week is to take Ole Miss -1 over LSU. So there are 7 selections. Let's get to your quick hitters for the week. We'll start with this first one. We're going to put Kennesaw State on the right, and we are going to put Middle Tennessee on the left. And when I say quick hitter, it's going to be a really quick hitter. Let's take a look at Kennesaw State. They are minus 7.5 in this game. They've been playing well. They played well every single game this year. Let's go ahead and get Middle over here on the left. Now, one thing I want to point out about this Middle-Marshall game, Middle actually led, if you look, 28-21 here in the fourth quarter. Marshall did score the last 3 drives of the game, but Middle was playing better recently. But the thing I want to point out here is Kennesaw State. Now, we've kept track of how the teams do as favorite and the dog. Look how they do Kennesaw State as a, what do I got here? Kennesaw State, disagree, 1-9 as a favorite. You got 1-4, 1-5. Oh, that's home favorite. Let's go to favorite. 0-3. Here they are. The last 3 years, they are 1-8 as a favorite. And were they favorite this year? Yeah, they were favored over Merrimack. Didn't cover. They were a dog, and dog. So they do well when they're an underdog, but they are 1-9 against the spread as a favorite. And if you go back and look at their favorite roles, they are actually, this is the first time they've ever been favored over an FBS team in the history of the school. They're just, of course, moved up from FCS recently. So first time favorite over an FBS team. They are 1-9 as a favorite. We're going to take Middle Tennessee State plus 7.5. All right, let's go take a look at a couple other things here. One thing I want to show you real quick, and that is, and you'll find this interesting, a couple of interesting things. I was poking around last night, setting up the tour for you. The strength of wins, pain of losses. This is always good. You get a win. You get credited for a win. Every win you have that the opponent has, I should say, that you beat, that they had over an FBS team, not an FCS team. It has to be an FBS team. So right now, leading the nation is Oklahoma. They've beaten teams that have won 7 games against FBS teams. Ole Miss, number 2. They've beaten teams that have beat 6 FBS teams. So that's a good number. LSU only has 3 for theirs. They've beaten teams that have had 3. But the thing I found fascinating last night is, look at this. Oregon has not beaten a team that's won an FBS game. Texas has not beaten a team that's won an FBS game. Arkansas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Northwestern, Kennesaw State has not beaten a team that's won an FCS game. So all these teams down here, that's pretty fascinating to see Oregon down here at 0-0. And Oklahoma State naturally hasn't won. Northwestern hasn't beaten an FBS team. They may have beaten an FCS team, but they haven't beaten an FBS team. So check this out as the season goes on. Right now, Oklahoma's leading the pace. Mississippi, USC, number 3, Kansas, Indiana. Check that out. It really gets interesting later in the year when it adds up the records. Now, if you lose to a team, you count all their losses. FBS, FCS, whoever they lost to, it's all included. Just thought I'd show you that. All right, let's get to the computer wanted to use. Now, I put it down here in the quick hitter section because it's 0-2 this year. The computer wanted to use was fantastic last year. And yet, when I put it on the tour this year, it's now 0-2. But let's hope we get a winner. If it wins this week, I'll bring it back next week. The computer's got 4 big plays this week. This is the one I wouldn't let it use. And it's Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's only laying 4.5 to Missouri State. As you see here, the computer likes Western Kentucky 33-25. I've got the score Western Kentucky 34-20. This is an idea. This is some of the page that's inside the press box. Each and every week gives you a complete breakdown of each game. But the computer wanted to use, I wouldn't let it play as Western Kentucky minus 4.5. All right, another revenge play here. It's the revenge AGG play, and the AGG has got Toledo by 29.5. Revenge play says Toledo. Toledo's a 2 play here. So let's take a look at this one. You've got Toledo on the right. They're at home. And they're also off a loss. So you got to think they're angry off a loss. They are playing Akron. A couple things I want to point out to you in this game. It is a quick hitter, so I'll try to be quick about it. First of all, Akron was shut out by both Wyoming and Nebraska. Toledo is a team that's probably better than Wyoming. So, and the AGG, look at this. They're playing to a 107 level. Akron's playing to an 82 level. That's why the AGG's up there. Their lone losses to Western Michigan last week. If you take a look here, Toledo led 13-0 in the fourth quarter, gave up a touchdown with 52 seconds left in the game, and ended up losing by 1. So they're off a loss at home. And last year, they actually lost to Akron and on the road in this one. The score here, it says 41-14. That wasn't the final score. in 2024. It was actually 21-14 in overtime. That's we'll correct that. You can see right here the final score is 21-14, and it was in overtime. Toledo. That's a game Toledo was a big favorite. They're sort of going through the motions. They come back, they get 14-14. They actually lost the game in overtime. You can see that right here as well. It's overtime. But they had a 465, 328-yard edge, 30-18 first down edge. They were a big favorite, final game of the year, and they ended up, regular season, I should say, and lost. So they're playing with legitimate revenge. They're minus 21 at home. Akron's a team that does struggle. They've got shut out twice this year. We're going to take Toledo, minus 21. All right, how about your marquee game, marquee predictor game but you must be getting 3 points. And the reason I bring that up, do we have it up here? Yeah, here it is. Alabama's a 3.5-point play here, but keep in mind, Georgia's a 3-point favorite. If Georgia drops to a 2.5-point favorite, then I'm not as comfortable with it because Georgia just doesn't lose at home. However, I can't see them winning the game by more than 3 points. And I do think Alabama's got a great shot at the upset. The plus-minus power ratings have Bama. The current AGG grade has Alabama by 8.3. Let's take a look at that. Put Georgia here. Of course, Georgia's perennially a poor home favorite. Georgia's AGG is 112.8. And Alabama, even with that loss to Florida State, take a look here. Alabama's playing at 126.1 level. So here they beat Austin Peay 28-6. They lost to Florida State. That was actually a better AGG for Alabama, 112.5, than their win over Austin Peay, 103.8. So it takes into account the AGG is something very valuable. And by the way, I can't wait till next week when we get the last 4 weeks AGG rolling. That really gets exciting because you got 2 different ways of looking at it: current form, overall season. So anyway, the AGG is on the side. We have a lot of factors on the side of Alabama here. Let's see if there was any others I could point out. Alabama has the series. If you take a look at the series here, Alabama is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are 9-1 straight up in the series for Alabama. That's a nice plus. Alabama is a solid away dog. Let's see how Alabama does as an away dog. How about 1-0? They've been an away dog once in the last 11 years, and they covered that game. So they're an away dog once in 11 years. They covered that game. And, of course, Georgia's just a poor home favorite. And they're already this year 0-2 as a home favorite, 1-5, 2-4-1. Kirby Smart just doesn't cover as a home favorite. So you got a lot of things going with Alabama here. But I do say this. Let's make sure you're getting 3 points in that one. The offense, defense, YPP. This is the final one. And it's a tricky one here now. The offense, defense, YPP. I'll show you here. The game is... you have got Southern Miss playing Jacksonville State. So let's put Southern Miss on the right. And they are here. And we're going to put Jacksonville State on the left. They are here. Now, these 2 columns, this tells you, in other words, in this game, Jacksonville State put up 322 yards. That's actually 114 yards more than UCF allows when they're not playing Jacksonville State. So that's a pretty good performance. Georgia Southern, they were 116 yards per game less. On the season, they're +9 and -50. The Liberty game, they gave up 534 yards of Liberty. That's 211 yards more than Liberty's gained in all their other games on the average. So that's their records. Now, Southern Miss over here is actually +9 and +105 on offense. Look at this green. Now, it doesn't include the Jackson State game. So even though if you added in the Jackson State game, they'd be even higher. But it doesn't include FCS games, only FBS. They had 172 yards more than App State allows. The best they've done against best any team. That's what this is. Best performance against App State's defense of any team. 199 above what Louisiana Tech allows. They got 514 yards last week. So I say that because that's what this chart is. This chart is the offensive and defensive YPG versus opponent average. We can see right now, Alabama's at the very top. Their offense is averaging 220 yards above what their opponents allow. Their defense is holding opponents to 263 above. Added up, you got 484. But anyway, when we look at this game, Southern Miss comes in number 40, plus 152.2. And they are taking on Jacksonville State. And I believe Jacksonville State's... You got number 40. Where's Jacksonville State? There they are. Number 107. They're minus 55.7. And the line in this one has Southern Miss -4. So this says they should be a much larger favorite than that, over a touchdown favorite. You got a team that's down here at number 108 versus a team that's number 40. We're going to take Southern Miss -4 over Jacksonville State. And a quick note for you, NFL-wise. Excuse me. Last week I was poking around in the NFL, and I came upon Cleveland, as you recall, and I said, hey, I had no idea that they played this good a defense and outgained Baltimore the previous year. I don't follow the NFL. All I knew was living in Cleveland was the final score. And then going last week, once again, this defense, number 2 in the NFL, holding opponents to 119 yards below their average, 204 per game, and they upset Green Bay. Now, I was going to come in here with a play, on Green Bay, but the NFL AGG, Todd will have this up next week. It'll be the total rankings for it, but let's see what we got here. They're playing Detroit, 94.7. Cleveland is 89, so that's a 5-point difference. I think Detroit's favored by something around that. Let's see what they are. Detroit is a 10-point favorite. So I can't make a play on Cleveland because of that. They're taking out a team like that. But you could see where the value would be on your AGG for the season. Your team at the very bottom is Cincinnati, and the team at the very top is Detroit. I'm going to cut it off here, getting the hiccups here. I'll be back with you next week with the tour. Hopefully we have a big winning week on the tour this week. And I want to thank you for taking the Phil Steele Plus tour with selections.